Alright, welcome back to the Fast and the Furious movie reviews as we lead up to, of course, Fast X releasing May 13th. And of course, we're in the third movie, Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is a not completely different movie, but it is a drastic change from Too Fast, Too Furious that came out before it, and of course, Fast and Furious that comes after it. That is because this one has none of the returning cast, but it does have one cast member that does return, weirdly enough. But this movie takes place, well, obviously in Tokyo, right? That's why it's the whole point. Tokyo Drift. They're not going to have it in the Midwest. Midwest Drift. Come on, bro. But this movie protagonist is, of course, Sean, the hot-headed American that is forced to travel to Japan because, well, he ran out of second chances in the States. And of course, he gets into some wacky hijinks, obviously. And besides some other movies, which we'll talk the second we review them, this is considered one of the best movies to ever release of the franchise. Difference is, it didn't get its flowers when it first released, because I think this is the lowest grossing Fast and the Furious movie. Obviously, because without Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, it's not going to really sell. But besides that, let's get right into the movie. The movie starts off, obviously, Sean getting into high school, where they have metal detectors, which can say two things. One thing is they're rich. Obviously, if a school can afford metal detectors and people, scanning people all the time, they would most likely have money. Or it's such a bad school that they really do need metal detectors because, I don't know, maybe some dude might just bring a monkey wrench or something. Boom, just throw it, right? But anyways, we go through Sean's day-to-day life, not really exciting, as, the music says, just going through the days. And one interesting thing is that while he's in the cars, well, it's very convenient that the school also provides mechanic lessons, I think, because there's a classroom and they're working on cars, where we see Sean being the dude that doesn't intervene as he watches someone get bullied, as, they grab some fat chubby dude and start spray painting this dude's belly, which is horrible, bro. Horrible. Absolutely abysmal. Imagine going home and telling your dad that you done got spray painted on your belly. That's embarrassing. But then again, you might as well just call it cops, because there's like cops everywhere in the school, because the metal detectors and everything. Sir, this person spray painted me. Like, don't worry, we got this. But they don't got this. But anyways, he goes through the day, his whole mechanic lessons, whatever. And when he goes to the parking lot to get out, obviously, his car, and he starts flirting with a girl that he does not know. Well, I know he has to know because it's the jock, right? It's the jock's girlfriend. And this is a very much a recurring thing that happens in the movie where he tries to hit up other people's women. And it does not end well for him. But anyways, he manages to talk his way into a race with them. Well, not really talk, because before that, they threw I think it was a baseball at this dude's car and it broke his back windshield or whatever the hell it's called. And Sean comes out with a wrench, right? Thinking that he's going to go fight all these people with a wrench and beat them up, which, when you watch the movie, you would 100% think that he would do that. But anyways, instead of fighting, the girls are like, oh, why don't you guys race? And we're like, well, I don't want to race for that dude's car. Well, I don't want to race for Sean's car. He's ugly and old, and I don't want to bet I don't know what car it is, but it's expensive. He goes, oh, we're not racing for cars. You guys can race for me. Therefore, putting herself as, well, the object to win. Anyways, so they find an they find a construction site where they're constructing, obviously, houses for a new, community where they race. And Sean's kind of not that good. I mean, he's all right. He just has to go through other places. He has to go from the side. He has to go through buildings and all stuff. The thing is, this race turned pretty ugly really fast because, well, Sean was about to win. And the jock was like, well, I'm not about to really lose my girlfriend in a race. That's weird. And then he starts attacking Sean, and they start attacking each other until they crash. Until the jock and his girlfriend crash, and like, boom, like, damn. And Sean, obviously, with the theme of the movie, Tokyo Drift, he does not know how to drift. And when he tries to stop at the end, because he wins, he flips over and just keeps flipping, and he just destroys his car. And he's like, really? Come on, bro. There must have been a better way to stop the car than that. But anyways, they end up in the hospital and the police office. Obviously, because illegal street racing, very much a no-no. and they got really bad injuries. Not really bad, bloody. More bloody than like broken, if you get what I'm saying. But the cop tells him, alright, this is enough. You obviously don't care about your well-being or other people's well-being. So this is it. You going to jail, basically. You going to juvie. And then the mom comes, is like, well, can we just sort this out, right? Because it's like his third time he switched schools because of this. And they're like, okay, that's it. No more second chances. The only second chance you get besides going to jail is going to live with your dad. Who's a Marine, I think he's a Marine. Never says he's a veteran. And he lives in Tokyo, Japan, where he has to go, obviously, live with his dad. And you can see him and his dad don't really have the best of relationships. Because after coming out of the airport, there was literally no one waiting for him. So he had to go catch a cab to his dad's place. And weird thing is, in the deleted scene, you get Sean kind of get humbled instantly in Japan. Because he obviously, because he's there, he didn't have any money. Which, kind of weird. I would expect him to give him money. Even though his dad was supposed to pick him up, I would expect him to give him money. For like, I don't know, maybe buy a snack. Like, I get it, he's being punished. But come on, bro. Flying overseas, that's not, that's punishment enough. So he has to go through a cab, and obviously he doesn't have enough money. So he has to give the dude his guitar, which is pretty depressing. And he ends up in his dad's place, where his dad, let's just say, was entertaining some guests, if you get what I'm saying. He's doing a little dancing ritual with a woman. And they're like, whoa, bro, why are you here? And he says, yo, it's time. You were supposed to pick me up like an hour ago. Like, not an hour ago, like a couple hours ago. They're like, oh, man, it must have been different time because, it's different time from here to over there. And it's like, oh, whatever. So he gives them his stuff. He goes, okay, you got a curfew. You have to come here at a certain time, and I better not see you around the car. Obviously, because the whole reason why he's even in Japan is because of the damn cars. He says, okay, I don't want to see you near a car, because if you're near a car, I'm sending you back home and to jail. All right, we ain't messing around here. So obviously, he has to get ready for class, and in another deleted scene, he gets to the trains intersection, where the trains are. He ends up meeting one of the bullies. That's right, he can't escape the bullies. He's about to fight them, but of course, the love interest throws his backpack in another train, and he has to go to a different location and have to come back to the class where he's late. And that is the whole reason why he's late. The class, when you watch the movie without the deleted scenes, you think, oh, is he just late because, obviously he's in a different country. It'd be pretty weird if he manages to know his way around in the first day. I mean, some people do. Some people do find their way around the first day, but not likely. And of course, he makes it there, and obviously he doesn't know the language, and he doesn't know that he has to take off his shoes and put on different shoes and all that stuff. But lucky for him, when the second he gets to lunch, he finally meets another guy. That being his best friend, or his future best friend, because they're not friends yet. But he speaks English. He's an American too, which is really convenient for him, because the love interest is also, maybe not an American, but she knows fluent English. And of course, he's selling him stuff, because that's his whole thing. He has a backpack full of, I think, American stuff that he sells. And of course, Sean finds the steering wheel and says, yo, man, how much you selling this for? Like, man, you don't know how to drive. Like, man, I know how to drive, right? So then he convinces his new friend Twinkie to drive him around, basically to where the spot is, where the cars are. And my boy pulls up in the Hulk machine, you know what I'm saying? There's a car dedicated to the Hulk. It's not only that, but the also exterior is molded into the Hulk fist, which is very, very nice. It's just really, really weird, but whatever. So they managed to go to the spot where they have these races, not any regular races, drifting races. You have to know it's drifting, bro. It's Tokyo Drift. And once again, he's spitting game with the girl, the love interest, who turns out to be someone's girlfriend. Or like, this dude does not know. This dude either has no self-awareness or whatever, because he is hitting up other people's women like it's somehow his. He's talking to other people's women like it's his hobby, basically, right? The thing is, Sean does not know how to keep his mouth shut, like, at all. Like, he was about to get jumped. Okay, not really jumped, because they didn't catch him off guard in America, but he was going to fight, like, 5 people at once anyways. And this one, he can't keep his mouth shut again, so he manages to talk himself into another race. Well, anyway, he manages to talk his way back into another race in another country. Unfortunately, I don't know if he forgot or something, he doesn't have a car. His one and only car was in the States. And it's gone. It's just destroyed. It's done. And he also sent it to the scrapyard, as they said. But another person, as most people would know, is, of course, Han. He's like, hey man, don't worry, I'll give him my car to borrow. I want to see what this kid's made out of. So then they race, and of course, because he doesn't know how to drift, he absolutely totals. Not totals. I mean, you can still drive it, but I mean, no one's gonna actually want to drive it. And of course, he loses the race, and well, he basically destroyed a very expensive car for because he just decided to talk too much. Let's be real. This dude just keeps talking. So, anyways, now he owes Han money because, well, he just didn't done destroy his car. You know, it's not like he's just gonna let that slide. And it's very convenient for Han. He's like, "Don't worry, I have a job for you." And it's basically being part of the mafia. He drives Han around, and they collect payments and all that stuff. And his first job, it doesn't end too well. He has to go tell some fat dude, "Hey man, you owe this guy money, or you have to pay up or something." He gets ragdolled, basically. So, anyways, now that he's helping Han, he has a little, how do I say, job that he basically gets to give his dad an excuse of why he's out, because, you know, the curfew and everything. But now he gets to see, you know, the entire group, which means Twinkie, Han, and some other people. They're kind of irrelevant. They don't appear afterwards. They're basically just there. And we get to see him try to learn how to drift, you know, because, you know, it's Tokyo Drift. He has to learn how to drift. And obviously he's horrible, and no one's like, bro, this is trash. You might want to see this. And then after all this practicing and all that stuff, he goes home where he sees his dad fixing up an old American muscle car. He says, yo, you got a car too? And he's over there like, yeah, but I don't drive it. And you're not going to drive it either because it got no engine or whatever. And basically, and his dad gives him a piece of advice, basically saying, keep your mouth shut and keep moving, basically. Because he's like, yo, if you start talking too much, then you're going to get humbled, basically. The whole saying, a nail that sticks out gets hammered, basically. And of course, Han obviously gives his philosophical views and all that stuff. He's the thinker, also the snacker, because all he does is eat. Okay, not eat. It's not like he's eating full course meals, but you know, you get the point. He's eating snacks, which means a lot of money from advertisers. Yes, I want Han to snack on my snack, because that's the snack to go. And then we get to see some good things about drifting as Han drifts around some ladies. For some reason, the streets are empty, but then again, it's night. Maybe the streets really are empty at night in Tokyo. But he does get their phone number just by drifting. He's like, what? You got someone's phone number? Like, yeah, it's that easy. And also, what's easy is that if you have a good enough car, you don't have to worry about the cops. Because if you go fast enough, the cops just don't care anymore. They're like, okay, well, they're driving too fast. We're not going after them. So then we still get some more instances of Sean trying to learn how to drift. Obviously, he's getting better. We do get a cameo of these two guys. I think they're fishermen. And one of them, I think, is the real-life DK, a.k.a. the Drift King. And after learning how to drift, Han uses Sean as his basically betting guy. You know, he puts him up against DK's guy, which is the Drift King's, and he wins. He wins the car that the guy owned, and he basically made some money. And he actually starting to fit in a little bit more. He's getting to be closer friends with Twinkie as he helps him sell a bunch of, I would say, American items, because the giant chain with the clock has to be from America. There's no way that's from Japan. And of course, Jordans. You know, you can't go wrong with Jordans. And then Sean, everything's going right for Sean. He has a job, although he's paying off a debt basically. He's drifting and he's racing, which he always loves to do. But once again, he can't keep his mouth shut, and he keeps hitting up DK's girl, and it's just like, what? And then DK obviously pulls up to where Sean's training, and it whoops him like bad, which is why I said it's convenient that he always talks his way into a race and not fight, because he is not that good of a fighter. And of course, no one does anything because he is the nephew of the mafia boss, which we do get to see. He looks very nice. He's a very nice article of clothing, and he basically tells DK, yo man, I don't know if you see me as dumb or whatever, but I've been checking the records and someone's been stealing from us, and you know, that's a bad thing. And he basically tells a story of how, like, oh, DK's like, oh, but it's very little, it doesn't matter. But he tells him a story like, oh, yeah, but what if that very little money, and it's like Imperial Japan or whatever the hell, when they still used horses, maybe not Imperial Japan, but basically, oh, but what if they couldn't afford one horseshoe? And then now that horse can't be used because it can't travel long distances. And therefore, the message is not delivered and the army loses because the message never arrived. So the whole thing like doesn't matter how little, it's just the principle. They're not supposed to steal from us. So of course DK, feeling humiliated, feeling mad, feeling all these type of emotions, decides to get his guy and go over to where Han is to go get his money. And by get his money, get the money and kill Han because he came up with the gun like, "Hey, yo, man, you stole money from us." And Han's all like, "Bro, we could do the big things, right? We don't have to play by your uncle's rules. We could be better than him." And he's like, "I don't care." And then they get into a skerfuffle where Sean and Han, Group 1, has to race around Japan against DK and his guy, Group 2. Where they drive around where DK's guy gets absolutely bullied because Sean manages to break his ankles and this dude just rams into another car, which I wouldn't assume that he died, but let's just say he's definitely out of the rest of the movie. He's not going to be seen again. And then they race around Tokyo, nice scenery, nice everything. Until, the most famous scene is where Han gets, rear-ended or whatever the hell by another car. And it's like, oh, damn, this dude's hurt. It's flipped over, the gas is coming out or whatever. And it's like, Sean's like, "Don't worry, man, I got you." And then, boom, it blows up. And then Han dies. So, yeah, damn, that gotta be like the worst death, though. In Fast and Furious so far, that's gotta be the worst death. And, of course, now they drive away. They leave via rail, the train system, and they go home. Where DK finds them. It's all like, "Hey, yo, he's demanding his girl come with him because, his girl was with Sean during the whole race in the skerfuffle." They're like, "Yo, man, you coming with me because you my girl, right? You mine." And then once he went with him, he still wanted to kill Sean because he's like, "Yo, you're a part of Han's crew. I'm gonna kill you too. You were talking all that good stuff a second ago." And of course, finally, Dad's military experience, or not really experience, it doesn't do anything, comes out of nowhere. Points his gun at DK, saying like, "Yo, man, I will blow your brains out if you don't leave my son." He's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Okay, let's see what happens when your dad ain't around," and he leaves. And his dad's like, "All right, that's it. Pack up your stuff. You going back home." Very obviously, I gave you certain rules and you ain't even take it. And then Sean finally learns responsibility, even though all this could have been prevented if he didn't talk so much. Like, come on, all this could have been prevented. He could have not. The whole movie would have just not happened if he would have just kept his mouth shut. But whatever. He said, "No, Dad, I need to make this right." And before that, Twinkie comes up to him and says, "Yo, man, Han wants you to keep this, right?" And he gives him a backpack. What's in the backpack? Well, it's of course the money that Han stole. He said, "Okay, yeah, me and the other guys were thinking about moving outside, where the mafia has influence, and we'll be leaving." He says, "Nah, man, I'm gonna go talk to the man himself. There's gotta be made right." So he goes up to him with the money because obviously that's what they want. So he manages to get into the club. He's over there like, "Yo, man, we've done a lot of bad stuff, but here's the money, and hopefully we could be cool." He says, "Oh, you think we could be cool? Hell no." And he said, "All right." And then Sean's like, all right. You don't think we could be cool? Cool. How about me and your nephew, DK, race? Not any race. It's a race atop of a mountain where, let's just say, not many people ever get to live a drifting race on the mountain." And the uncle's like, "All right, fair enough." And obviously DK is getting mad. They're like, "Why? I already beat this man. There's no point in even entertaining the idea." And he said, "All right, if you beat him once, you can beat him again." And then the loser has to leave Tokyo forever. That's right, forever. So they're like, "All right, we got a race in our hands." So he gets the crew. And they're like, "All right, let's go to the car I had. Let's fix it up. Let's get everything." Nope. DK found it and absolutely mauled it, just destroyed it. There's nothing left except the engine. And the muscle car that was his father's, it actually comes back because, they just put the engine into the muscle car and they fix it up, fine-tune it so the drifting works, and they actually start fine-tuning it for the day. They color it, they do whatever they want with it, and it's time for the race. Where everything's going smoothly, and Sean's slightly winning, the turns and everything, until DK's like, "Okay, this man actually might win, and I don't really want to lose." So he starts getting, a little desperate. So he starts ramming into Sean's car, and we're like, "Hey, get out of here, I'm going to kill you," right? And they keep doing that for like a long while, and then Sean's ahead, DK's ahead, Sean's ahead, you know what I'm saying? Until the last time where they're like, "Okay, that's it. You're going to try to ram me off?" So right before DK tries to ram him one last time, Sean obviously brakes checks him, and then DK just goes flying. he just falls off the mountain. Does he die? No. But damn, bro, nah. But he's pretty close to. Like, look at this man. That's not right. And then boom, he just falls. And of course, Sean, with no opposition anymore, just finishes. Therefore, beating the Drift King and becoming the new Drift King, and the Mafia leaves the city. Very nice movie. Also, he gets the girl. So, yeah, that's something. So now he just lives in Japan, I guess. That's weird. But before that, we do get to see one returning character. Because although I did say none of the characters return, one does. And that is Dominic Toretto with his muscle car, challenging Sean, the new DK, to a racing match. Who do I think won that? Because it doesn't show who won. It has to be Sean. There's no way that Sean loses in his own movie. He's a DK, beat the former DK. Some dude ain't just gonna come out of nowhere and just beat him in his own game. I mean that did happen last time. Some dude from America came to Japan and beat the old DK, and then now another dude from America is coming back, trying to dethrone the new DK. So, whatever. But he does give a tad bit of info, saying, "Oh man, that's a nice muscle car." And like, Dom's like, "Oh, thanks, man. Han gave it to me." Like, what? You knew Han? Yeah, man. Before he came here, he used to roll with me. That's right. Because Han appears in the other movies. Well, at least Fast 5. He appears in another movie, which means Tokyo Drift takes place after it. So it's in a weird place of the timeline, but who cares about the timeline? But anyways, it is a really good movie. Usually only takes place at night. Aesthetic choice, I guess. The acting's decent. The action scene is good. You know, the cars and the racing scenes are really good. Just Sean looks a little too old to be passing off as a high schooler. Although his accent, not the best. But besides that, the visuals, everything else, it looks good. But honestly, I'm not ranking it yet because we got 6 more movies to come. We got the next video, obviously being Fast and Furious. The next one, Fast 5. The next one after that, Fast and the Furious 6, Furious 7, Fate of the Furious, aka the 8th movie, and Fast 9, the Fast Saga. And of course, hopefully it will lead up to Fast X, like I said, releasing May 13th. Hopefully a very nice movie.